Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm really glad that you are currently asking Londoners for their views on how big the ultra-low emission zone should be and when it should come in. I've heard from many outer Londoners that they want the inner London ULEZ standards to apply where they live, so that's beyond the North and South Circular. The British Lung Foundation cares about this too. They've sent me some new data that shows some of the boroughs with the highest rates of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, are in outer London, outside the proposed inner London ULEZ. Their data's really stark. If you live in Havering, you're 85% more likely to have COPD compared to the London average, and in Barking and Dagenham, it's 71%. So this is an outer London health crisis that they've exposed. Now, as you know, my report, Left Out Londoners, called for a London-wide ULEZ for all dirty vehicles. Now, if everyone in outer London asks you for this in your consultation, will you do it?
So I'll look at the evidence. I mean, the consultation is very important, and the evidence, any evidence you send is always useful, Caroline. Can I just tell you, so it's a genuine consultation, but can I just tell you the stat I've got, which may help the discussion, is, because I've considered expanding it London-wide, is there are apparently a small number, around 1% of outer London roads, where they're expected to exceed legal limits in 2025. That's 1%. And the advice I've received is it'd be far quicker to bring them within limits by targeted local measures than a blanket London-wide ULEZ. But my mind's not closed. That's the advice I've received. Okay, targeted approaches may be more effective than the blanket. But please respond.
Okay. Well, let's look at all the evidence as things go forward. People living on the North and South Circular boundary roads are telling me that they're really worried that these roads are going to become even more congested with people in cars and small vans avoiding the inner London ULEZ, making pollution worse for those people who are actually living along the route. Do you share their concerns?
Yeah, that's why we're taking time. So the criticism that people like you are making is why not do it quicker? There are many reasons why we can't. One of it is to get it right and get the consultation right. And we've got lessons from the past. When the congestion charge was first brought in, those roads just outside the sea charge area saw more congestion as people tried to avoid the sea charge. We're trying to learn from the past, but also consult properly going forward.
Glad you're learning from that. Now, you want the inner London ULEZ to start in 2021, and the thing is that you might not actually be mayor in 2021. So if your ULEZ consultation shows strong public support for bringing it in earlier, would you implement all the ULEZ phases within your current term of office?
No. The technology is not there. Whether we'll be the first city doing it, we've got to get the consultation right. We've got to make sure the commercial fleets have time. You've already identified one reason why we can't rush. Obviously, I can't tie the hands of my successor, so that's why I've got to win the election.
Okay. In your election manifesto, you promised, and I quote, to restore London's air quality to legal and safe levels. So do you agree that based on that manifesto promise, all Londoners would expect to breathe legal and safe air by the end of this term of office?
Only if the government supports me. The problem is the government's not supporting me. I've already said in my answer. I know you're trying to rush me because you've got more questions, but it's difficult for me to answer the question and be rushed by you for the next one. But you'll be aware that half, roughly speaking, of the NOx emissions comes from non-transport uses. Yep. I'm doing what I can with the half that I'm in control of, but it's just not possible for me to address issues outside of my control. That's why I'm saying there should be a new Clean Air Act for purpose for the 21st century.
And totally agree with you on all of that. The current government predictions, which take account of your clean air plans, suggest London won't be compliant with nitrogen dioxide limits until 2025. And what's worrying is that means you won't be able to deliver the manifesto promise during this term or possibly even the next one, and that's really 2 terms too late.
Well, that's a point to make to the government, I think, rather than to me, but I'm doing what I can lobbying the government. Sometimes these guys support me. They're against the ULEZ being brought forward. They're against the T-charge. I think they're probably against most of the measures I'm doing to try and clean up our air. So it's you, us and the Lib Dems trying to lobby this government to do the right thing by London.
Indeed. I'm out of time, so I'm going to pass.